Back to Atlanta News First Plus. Here from the First Alert Desk, I'm Maria Moreau, taking you back out to our Assembly Atlanta coverage. This state-of-the-art studio complex, eat, play, live facility that's coming to Doraville as soon as Friday. That's the big unveiling, and this week we are jumping on here with you to highlight all of the wonderful things that go into that, the growth of Georgia's film industry, the future of Georgia's film industry, and the job creation coming to a unique community like Doraville, all thanks to our Gray Television parent company building this Assembly Atlanta studio. If you remember a year ago on Atlanta News First, we took you through the moments of construction, the dedicated labor, the hard work, and the thinking that went into creating this unique immersive space. Today is the start of the week that space is unveiled, and the public will get to see really this new 135-acre facility and area that is going to be the future of film here in Georgia. They don't call us the Hollywood of the South for no reason. There's a bunch of landmarks and historical film places here in Atlanta, and we know from this development, Assembly Atlanta is going to bring more and put Georgia on the map in your favorite movies and with your favorite characters. Now, if you missed our noon coverage, we took a little trip down to New Orleans. Our meteorologist, Rodney Harris, has a weather report you won't want to miss.
On the massive impact the TV and film production business has on our state.
That's right.
Yeah, we're also talking about the role that Assembly Studios is going to play in it. So it's a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff going on. But first, let's talk about your weather and your traffic, shall we? First Alert meteorologist Ella Dorsey and Courtney Jakabazi are in our weather center. Of course, you see Rodney up there. He is there live at Assembly. I guess we'll start with you, Rodney. No special effects out there. It's actually cold.
Yeah, it's gotten a little bit better. I got a question for you, Lana and Rick, and we did this a little bit earlier. Where am I? What city am I in?
Paris.
Well, oh, that's a good option.
Rick, how about that? I was going to say Europe, but we'll go with, we're in Europe. So what's super cool is we're on what's called a back lot. And as you guys know, when producers are filming television shows, a lot of that work is done inside. But when they want to show the buildings, we can actually shoot and film as if we are in Paris, Rick, or if we're in Europe, anywhere in Europe. That makes it to where they don't actually have to go to Europe if they want to see the buildings. And if you look further down, we have brownstones down there that we've been showing you that represent New York or any other city in the Northeast with brownstones. So really, really cool stuff out here as we are seeing for ourselves, Lana and Rick, how the TV and movie magic happens. So I will say that after some really cold temperatures earlier this morning, now that the sun has come out and I'm standing directly in the sun, it's gotten just a touch better. It doesn't feel quite as bad as it did about an hour ago, but it's still cold enough to where you definitely need that coat as you get out the door. So make sure and do that with temperatures in the 40s area wide. I have up the wind chill forecast hour by hour for the rest of the day. That's super important because in addition to it being cold, our winds will be out of the north at up to 15 miles per hour, gusting to over 20, which means it's going to feel colder on your skin. So it'll feel like the low 50s at best later on this afternoon. So it's a day where you definitely want to have that jacket the entire day today. In addition to that, plenty of sunshine right now, but we are forecasting the clouds to increase later on today. Maybe a shower or two, not anything too major in the rain department. We will talk, though, about a first alert for rain. First Alert meteorologist Ella Dorsey will have more on that in your forecast for the rest of the week a little bit later. In the meantime, we will send it over to Courtney Jakabazi for a check of the roads. And
I just wanted to cut into that recap from our Rodney Harris, and that is just a look at all the excitement that's building up this week. Our First Alert weather team, our hardworking, dedicated reporters, our anchor crew is actually going to be bringing you your newscast from Assembly. Live at Assembly is the name, and Live at Assembly is what we're going to do. Our 3 o'clock newscast is going to kick off all of that excitement and fun, and we're going to take you to places like Paris, to places like New Orleans, where you'll get to see that community come to life. But really, it's a stage to bring your favorite movies to the big screen. Now, I want to talk about this space in particular and these structures that have been built over the past year and through the years of effort. This used to be the old General Motors assembly plant. You might have been thinking, you know, I knew it looked familiar. I couldn't put my finger on it, but Doraville became famous for its General Motors assembly plant, and that, of course, from its opening in 1945 to its closing in September of 2008, that plant employed around 3,000 workers. It's a lot of jobs and a lot of businesses that benefited from those jobs. When that plant closed down, it really had a toll on this community of 10,000 people, very small, tight-knit town. Now with the creation of Assembly and the creation of this massive space that not only is going to bring film forward and create new opportunities for the film industry, but really create housing opportunities, to create retail, and so many surrounding businesses that will benefit from this. We're talking about multiple sound stages, film offices, massive sets, warehouses, along with those other parts of the environment, the retail, the restaurants, the homes, all of that coming into fruition thanks to Assembly Atlanta. And as you'll see from our own Chelsea Bimeford, the timeline to get it done was intentional, and the way to honor Assembly Atlanta was to look into the past.
Over there, it's meant to look like the French Quarter. I believe that's New York brownstones.
Doraville Mayor Joseph Geierman showed us the sound stages that are nearing completion at Assembly Atlanta. Soon, they'll be used to start cranking out TV shows and movies. But long before Gray Television took over, the 135-acre property was home to a different type of assembly.
They produced GM cars through their whole existence, everything from the Woody to classics all the way up to modern day.
The General Motors plant opened in the heart of Doraville in the 1940s. It brought thousands of jobs and people to the small town.
The city really grew up around the GM plant. It was a really important part of the city for a long time.
But in 2008, GM closed the plant, and the city was left wondering what would happen and what could replace so many jobs. 6 years later, a developer purchased the property for $50 million. They tore down the plant and began redeveloping the site, only to be halted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
About 2020 is when we first came and walked on the site for the first time.
That's when Gray's CEO Hilton Howell and developer Jay Gibson entered the picture, drawing up plans for a new, creative, and innovative production hub.
And by early 2021, specifically around April, we closed on the property, and then we filed our permits.
Gray broke ground in September of 2021, and just over 2 years later, construction of Phase 1 is almost complete.
Moving forward, you know, it's a state-of-the-art production facility. Everything from lighting, grip, wardrobe, props, 3D printing, transpo, everything.
Assembly Atlanta will employ roughly 4,000 people and help reinvigorate the heart of Doraville as it was so long ago.
Reinvigorate and revitalize. This is a big move for Doraville. Doraville now the home for Assembly Atlanta, and hopefully the future of the films you love. I mean, some of these the most famous ones, your favorite Marvel movies, maybe you recognize this one. That's Aretha Franklin's RESPECT, Respect, was shot here in Atlanta, along with the likes of Jungle Cruise, movies such as Stranger Things, definitely a popular one here in Georgia, and Black Panther 2, Ant-Man, and so many more of our favorite films. Knowing that they were shot here in Georgia, and now knowing that so many more are still yet to come, and Doraville may just be the place where that happens. Our Adam Murphy looked into a little of what this means for this small community.
In the city of Doraville, there is a hustle and bustle of traffic on Buford Highway at 285. But if you spend any time here, you'll quickly realize something is missing.
Really, Doraville grew up around that GM plant, so when it left, that was a major loss for us.
Doraville Mayor Joseph Geierman said life changed here when the General Motors plant shut down 15 years ago. Hundreds of jobs vanished, and so did the people, leaving a gaping hole in the heart of the city.
There was actually a lot of business that was lost.
Justin Tate is the general manager of Baldino's sandwich shop in town. He said his store lost about 40% of its lunch business after the closure of the GM plant.
There were people that would come in and say, hey, you know, this is probably my last time coming here. I'm no longer working across the street.
Now, for the first time in more than a decade, there is a new heartbeat that will soon bring opportunities and life back to Doraville.
But I do think property values are going to go up, and we will see increased revenue based on that.
Great Television's new development, Assembly Atlanta, will bring a new live, work, and play Studio City to the old GM site, giving new businesses in town a sense of hope.
We're just looking forward to more foot traffic, economic growth, new jobs, etc. I mean, it's just a win-win for everybody.
But I think the Assembly is going to offer a lot of new opportunity and growth, and we're really excited about it.
The mayor told me that Assembly Atlanta is expected to generate more than 3,500 new jobs, more than making up for the 800 or so that were lost. The heartbeat is back and the future is bright here in Doraville. At Assembly Atlanta, Adam Murphy, Atlanta News First.
And that was our Adam Murphy taking us through Doraville, talking to some of these community members and everything that you can expect for the businesses, the small businesses and the job creation for the city of, for the community of Doraville. You know, as we talk about revitalization and the lasting impacts of Assembly Atlanta, I actually talked to someone who has been very immersed in Georgia's film industry for quite some time. She's a casting director, and she actually spoke with me about Assembly Atlanta and the future of film and the excitement that's building up from those that work there every single day. Casting directing is such a big part of film production for bringing the movies that we all love to life, and is setting the tone. I mean, you're not just picking random people off the street, you're really understanding the characters, studying, researching, and trying to tell the story in the way that it deserves. I want to talk a little bit about your background, because you started with Georgia's film industry quite a while ago, and you've got to see some of that growth. Talk about the beginning years for you in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started in stage management in college, and I was always really fascinated with the rehearsal process, with the process of an actor, the process of finding an actor. And I'd sit in the room with the director and go through everything with him, how he would select who he thought was great for which role. And I knew I didn't really want the spotlight myself. So he actually introduced me into casting, and he was like, I think you'd be really great for this. Went up to New York, because at the time, you know, you think, I want to be in production, so I got to be in New York or LA. And went up to New York and started interning, and I had an apprenticeship there in actually casting for Broadway. And I definitely wanted to keep going. I was a little overwhelmed by thinking, okay, I have to be in New York to do what I want to do. So I started doing some research into Atlanta and to the rumblings here that was happening in the state of Georgia. I'm actually from Atlanta. I'm an Atlanta local. So it was kind of awesome to be like, wow, I can move back home and have the same sort of casting access to everything going on in Georgia. So came down to Georgia, working for Fincannon and Associates. They've been in the industry since the early 80s. They have a really amazing stronghold and reputation coast to coast. And I jumped in, and I think it was really amazing to see sort of the infrastructure that had already really started here. You know, starting out, I had like a camera equipment case, and I'd go from production office to production office and set everything up with the directors and the actors. And I think it was amazing to be driving onto these studio lots. And I'm not in LA, you know, and I'm not in New York, and I'm here in Georgia. And I think that's where I really started to feel like I'm sort of at the start of this precipice in casting and in Georgia, and that this is really where I need to be. And, you know, fast forward 11 years later, and here we are. But I think it's just really incredible to see that we're not in, you know, these sort of saturated markets like New York and LA, and we're here in Georgia. And again, Georgia's no longer a secondary, you know, market. It's the location, so to speak. So I think it's been really awesome to have the same sort of access to Hollywood, but be in a place where I can thrive. I'm around family and friends, and just to be kind of like a bigger fish in a smaller pond, so so to speak. But that pond is definitely getting bigger for sure.
Getting bigger and more opportunities coming for film here in Georgia with the creation now of Assembly Atlanta, our new state-of-the-art studio in Doraville. I want to talk about the impact you've had here on Georgia film. You have been recognized and credited in over 40 television and film projects with 3 Artiest nominations, which if you don't know is the nomination and win that any casting director, any film industry person will tell you is an honor to receive and well-deserved. Nominations for excellence in casting specifically. And some of your films, The Family Plan, not out yet, but exciting project for you.
Yeah.
The Descendants, more familiar. The Menu, The In-Between, Tales of the Walking Dead. I mean, so many projects that you have had your hands on. Can you talk a little bit about some of those popular movies and films that we've seen and being behind the process that not many people get to interact with and then seeing it come to life in the way that we do?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very exciting, and thank you for touching on that. I think it really does speak first and foremost to the community of actors that we have here, and again, like I was speaking to, the infrastructure that we've built and the caliber of talent. I think it's been really amazing to see, the size of roles that we started with, 10 to 15 years ago, and where we are now with, series regular roles and recurring guest star roles, and our Atlanta actors, toe to toe with these, A-list stars. But it really all kind of starts the same, coast to coast with the script and with sort of the reputation that, the Fincannons sort of bring into the industry, and a level of trust that producers have now with our market and with the actors that we have. And I have a lot of pride for it, obviously, but yeah, we jump in and we dive in with all of the roles that we're going to fill, and we jump on with the team and we talk through what they're seeing, prototype, it just the vibe that they're hoping for, and we reach out to all of our amazing Atlanta agents and Southeastern agents, and we let them know what we're looking for, and they come to us and they let us know who they have on their roster they think would be great, and we handle everything from the getting them sides to the audition to presenting them to the team. There's a lot of avail checking and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, I think it's really just diving in and keeping an open communication with the team and really working with our amazing Atlanta, actors and agents and managers. But yeah, I think it really just all starts from that script and also from the trust that these studios and these producers have in the state of Georgia, and what Georgia has to bring to the project.
I wanted to do something fun with you. A lot of people come out to Atlanta with dreams to be on the big screen, to get involved in film here. As a casting director, what are some things that you look out for when someone walks through your door?
Oh, wow, that's great. I think a level of sort of comfortability in their skin and who they are, pride for where they come from for the work that they've done. Also, I really kind of love to know what someone does outside of acting. I think, at the end of the day, we're looking for real people and we're looking for real characters. So I think hearing little tidbits about, their childhood or what they love to do, or experiences they've had, travel experiences they have, fun stories, I think that always brings another level of life and just understanding to who they are as a person and what they could bring to the character.
And talking a little bit about Assembly Atlanta, we're highlighting this entire week on really recognizing Georgia's film industry and how much it's growing, and with that, this new state-of-the-art eat, play, work environment specifically for film, but really for the community of Doraville. What do you see in that future? I mean, you have been in Georgia and Atlanta really your whole life and now immersed in the film industry here. Yeah. Hearing that there's new spaces being built and investments being made, I mean, what runs through your head for the future of film in Georgia?
It's really, really, truly exciting. I think what's just been so amazing about the market here is just showing everyone really around the nation that you don't have to be in these, hugely saturated markets like LA and New York. You can really be anywhere, and that, Atlanta is such an amazing, culturally diverse town. It's a multi-industry city. Georgia has so much to offer in terms of locations and businesses. So I just think it's really amazing that we're just expanding where production takes place, and it's giving so many more opportunities to to people in Georgia, in production jobs and in acting, and we can kind of just move away from everything being done in these two places. And I mean, over the past few years, it's been the amount of people that have moved into our market to do this has just been incredible. And I think that it just shows that we're here to stay. And I think it's made Georgia a cooler place. And, you know, I'm thrilled because I want to be here. And I'm excited to see what unfolds. And I just think entertainment is something that we always go back to, no matter what's sort of going on in the world. So I have a lot of pride for Georgia and everything it's going to hopefully stay and become.
Absolutely, the Hollywood of the South.
That's right.
Kimberly, you've done so much for film here, and you've been so much of the future and what's to come. A lot of the people out there, maybe they're in college, maybe they're looking to get their start in film, maybe they're trying to get into casting, directing. Yeah. What do you have to say to the next generation of film industry workers?
Oh, that's great. You know, I think find your community. Find the people that love to do what you love to do, and join up and content create and really get your voice out there. You know, I think following what you love really will bring you to the right place, and you never know, you know, what opportunity is around the next corner, and who you may meet that can change everything. But I usually always start with find your community, especially when actors move here and, you know, they're sort of overwhelmed as to where to start. You know, join into the acting studio that you've been looking at, and, you know, apply for production jobs, just anything and everything that's in the vein of what you love. And I think it'll really lead you to the next best thing.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus, for connecting with so many of our viewers and just giving us a look from behind the scenes. Not a lot of people get to really understand the process and all that goes into making a movie that we all love to watch, and you've been such a big part of that. So we appreciate you joining us and being here and for everything that you do.
Thanks, Maria.
And we are continuing to follow all the excitement that's building up with Assembly Atlanta with our big unveiling this Friday. We are days away, Monday, kicking off our Assembly Week coverage. And you don't want to miss this. Starting at 3 o'clock, our Atlanta News First team is taking you live from Assembly with your latest news headlines and the stories of your community. So make sure you tune in live at 3 o'clock. Our Atlanta News First reporters, anchors, weather team, we're all excited to bring you Assembly Atlanta and take you behind the scenes through this 135-acre magnificent immersive studio and environment, and watch as it revitalizes not only Doraville, but brings film opportunities and the movies you love here to Georgia for many, many years to come. Thanks for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. We'll see you next time.